The Texas Longhorns came into 2025 revving up Lambos and flaunting NIL millions to recruits. The hype train calling the Longhorns the new Alabama, soon to be complete with a national championship. But after a 29-21 loss to a Florida team that couldn't score against a high school team 3 weeks ago, Longhorn hype machine has defaulted to its old ways. Excuse making, bitching about Oklahoma's schedule coming into the game. Isn't that rich? Or simple delusion about the Horns' chances heading into tomorrow's Red River Shootout at the Cotton Bowl, the 121st edition of a series led by Texas overall, but heavily in favor of Oklahoma since the days of the leather helmets. Welcome back to Hall of Fame College Football. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, and if you love college football, welcome back to Hall of Fame College Football, everybody. The show where the truth burns hotter than the Texas sun in August. Texas falls to 3-2 on the season, heading into this week's Red River Shootout with the Oklahoma Sooners after losing to a 1-3 Florida Gator squad that had fans calling for Billy Napier's head before kickoff last week. And while the Oklahoma Sooners roll into the Texas State Fair in Dallas with a Heisman favorite likely returning to the field or a capable plan B in Michael Hawkins, if John Mateer isn't ready as expected to return from his broken thumb, along with a defense that has proven capable of domination no matter who's behind center for the OU offense, the Texas hype train is, at least temporarily, at the station. 2025 was supposed to be an SEC coronation for Steve Sarkisian's Longhorns, a year they could finally yell, "We're back," without being mocked uncontrollably afterwards for years to come. And it was also supposed to be first-year quarterback Arch Manning's Heisman moment. But all of that has come crashing down on Sarkisian and the Longhorns in just over 6 weeks of the new season. In fact, it's so bad in Austin that some are wondering whether Manning will be back behind center for Texas a year from now, and some are questioning Steve Sarkisian's staying power as well. Florida entered last week's game averaging just 11 points per game in losses to South Florida, LSU, and Miami in the previous 3 games. The Gator offense had been about as threatening as the toddler with a Nerf gun leading up to the game. Meanwhile, the preseason #1 team in America strolled into the swamp accompanied by Longhorn royalty and Atlanta Falcons star Bijan Robinson. You predicted anything different than the outcome of last season's matchup between the SEC's newest media darling and Billy Napier's hapless Gators. Just 10 minutes into the game, though, the pregame script had been flipped on its head, and it was the Gator offense looking like it featured Bijan in a backfield of a unit coached by former Longhorn Mike Shanahan. Texas has now dropped both of his games against Power 4 competition, 14-7 to Ohio State in week 1, and now the week 6 nightmare in Gainesville. Wins over San Jose State and UTEP, as uninspired as they were, plus a beatdown of Sam Houston State 2 weeks ago, fooled way too many people into thinking Texas was still on its way to history in 2025. Spoiler, it's the Longhorns' SEC title and college football playoff hopes that appear to be history, or better yet, burnt. I said 3 weeks ago that the Texas defense was possibly more inflated than it was elite. And oh, did I hear the burn orange outrage over saying so. Here's another biased clown take from Jason, they said. Once again, Jason wearing his crimson-colored glasses talking about the Red River. And then there was Ohio State's #1 in the country, and they only scored 2 touchdowns on the Horns. Sure. But OSU was running out a first-time quarterback, a new offensive line, and new Buckeye offensive coordinator Brian Hartline was calling plays for the first time ever. Ryan Bay basically bubble wrapped his offense in week 1 because he knew the OSU defense was more than Arch, Sark, and the Horns could handle as long as they didn't gift wrap 3 points to Texas in the form of ill-timed turnovers. As I've said all along, vanilla was not even the word for this OSU game plan. And even if you make yourself believe that the Texas defensive effort that day was special, the next test for the Horns didn't go near as well. Florida exposed them for the world to see last Saturday. The Gators came in ranked 106th in rushing, but ran for 159 yards on the Longhorns, punctuating an 8-minute opening drive with a 5-yard Jaden Ball touchdown where he juked Michael Taft in the hole and walked into the end zone. The end to that drive was much easier for the Gators than anyone would have expected heading into the game, judging by their horrific offensive performances in the early part of the season, not to mention the rumored elite Texas defense that was supposed to be coming to the Swamp that day. Ball ran for 111 yards overall, 39 of them during that first drive, and the Gators took control of the game from the start, twice building leads of 10 points in the opening half and taking a 19-7 lead into the break. And about that Pancake Factory Texas O-line, turns out the factory has been mothballed and the hotcakes have turned cold along the wall built to protect the Golden Arch. Florida came in with 3 total sacks all season. They left with 6 more on Manning before all was said and done last week. The much ballyhooed O-line hardly seems worthy of the 6-figure Lambos Texas used to lure the number 1 recruiting class of the 25 cycle, and those lofty projections of an Alabama-like dynasty seems about as likely as Billy Napier receiving a lifetime contract to continue coaching at Florida at the end of this season. That burn-orange rushing attack, that's burnt to a crisp too. 26 carries, 52 yards in the game, 2.0 yards per tote. Arch led the UT ground game with 37 yards. That's not exactly explosive. It's more like evacuate the pocket and pray. In the end, Manning had moments where he at least remotely resembled the heir to the Manning NFL legacy of superstardom and Super Bowl rings. But he's nowhere near a Heisman Trophy candidate as of now, and the line protecting him, plus the highly touted teammates he shares the backfield with, aren't exactly what you'd expect a multiple top 5 and number 1 ranked recruiting class to look like in real life. Now the Longhorns get Oklahoma in Dallas. Let's be crystal clear. Brent Venables' defense is not Florida's. It's much better than that. OU ranks first nationally with 21 sacks. Running lanes are almost non-existent against these Sooners. Opposing quarterbacks complete just 52% of passes against them. And the Brent Venables defense averages as many tackles for loss per game, 10, as opponents average first downs against them, 10.4. Texas fans are whining about the John Mateer injury deception the night before this annual slugfest, but UT fans might want to pray for the health, both physical and mental, of their young quarterback moving forward after this is over Saturday around 6 p.m. local time. If Florida's defensive front made you flinch, Venables blitz packages might make you call Uncle Peyton for a getaway car at halftime. Here's the harsh truth. Texas bought its own hype. All offseason, we were told this was the team, Arch's Heisman year, Sark's statement season, and a playoff lock and favorite to win it all.
New Alabama.
But when the lights came on and real competition showed up, they folded faster than a lawn chair in a hurricane. 3-2, 0 wins over Power 4 competition, and a potentially embarrassing L loading on the eve of the 121st Red River Shootout. The CFP and Natty hype train derailed nearly 3 weeks before Halloween. Can they find a way to win tomorrow? It's a rivalry game, so I would never say never. But the point spread on my bookie, which opened the week in favor of the Horns by 3.5 points, is now sitting at OU -1, meaning the betting public's money has turned what was once an 11.5 point favorite Texas into a 1-point dog. That means the smartest and biggest bettors in the world have bet OU enough to flip one of the biggest Red River spreads in recent memory on its head. It shouldn't surprise anyone who watches Hall of Fame college football, as you've likely heard all the predictions from the creators I either work with or respect this week, most of whom are picking the Sooners by varying margins. In case you forgot, here's a sampling of some of my favorite pickers' projections. K. Chris Griffin says Oklahoma wins 24-13, while Chris Mason of Sooners 360 says OU wins 20-17. John Lewis of the Bama Standard, OU 27-24. Shelton Walker of High Top Sports, Oklahoma 35-24. Our guy Rawhide says Texas wins 24-17, while Zach McKinnell of the Blue Bloods says OU wins 24-20. Coach I of Fan Addict Sports Network says Oklahoma 17-7. Okie like Cody has the Sooners winning 28-17. David Pollock also picks OU to win as well. David Neal of David Talks Buffs has the Sooners winning 33-17. Kobe Orr of the Blitz City podcast says OU 24-21. Cody the Professor from High Top Sports has OU winning 28-21. And Coach Ricks has the Sooners winning 28-9. Coach Smook has Oklahoma win 35-13. Big Mike Boganowski says Sooners win 30-13. Tez from SC Season says the Longhorns win 27-24. Thad Shoddy Parker from Just My Damn Opinion says that OU wins 24-13. Brinsky Sharp of the Sharp Shooter podcast has Texas winning 27-24. Blaine Crane of Crane and Company says Oklahoma wins 20-17. Brother Jake Crane says OU wins 17-10. One of the few Texas Longhorns I really like. Really Flawed says 28-24 Horns. The coach, Philip Roybal, has the Sooners winning at 30-12. Bishop Frank says Sooners win 38-3. David Cohn of Crane and Company says that Oklahoma wins 23-20. Sippin' Sooner has the Sooners winning 28-10. Film guy Brooks Austin says OU wins 28-20. And Josh Pate, of course, picked Texas the other day, although it seemed like he had to talk himself into it. Myself, I have those Sooners winning 28-3 in this one. If you're keeping score at home, that's 24 votes for Oklahoma, just 5 for Texas heading into the game. Does that mean anything when the gun goes off and the ball gets kicked tomorrow? Of course not. But the all-gas, no-brakes Longhorns are coming into the Cotton Bowl with their playoff future on fumes. The Gators slammed the brakes on the Texas playoff hype train a week ago. It seems likely that the Sooners are going to bury Texas altogether once the game gets underway at 2:30 p.m. Central tomorrow. You let me know what you think, though. Drop your score prediction in the comments below. We'll see you all on the next one.
I'm not shocked by the offensive line playing bad. They have been bad. They could not move people on the goal line versus UTEP.